If you cornered me and asked me to come up with the one single trait that I've found in common amongst the successful investors I've come across, what would that be? Look, obviously there are a number of important factors underpinning success, but after recently speaking with Robert, I've come to the conclusion that really there's one critical attribute that stands above virtually everything else when it comes to creating success in your investing, in your wealth creation, and in fact in all areas of your life. Hi, I'm Michael Yardney, and before I explain that to you, what I'd like to suggest you do if you're serious about becoming a successful property investor and building your own successful property investment business is get a copy of my great book, What Every Property Investor Needs to Know About Finance, Tax and the Law. It's got 3 co-authors and myself giving you our personal insider insights into how to build a successful property investment business so you can get financial independence. Okay, back to what we were saying before about the successful traits. I was talking about Robert. You see, Robert came up to me after attending one of my seminars and he thanked me. He said he'd learned a lot. He told me he was inspired. He then shared with me that he'd been to almost every one of my seminars that I'd conducted in Sydney over the last 10 years. Now, when I asked him how many properties he owned, he told me he was still getting ready to buy his first investment. He was waiting for everything to be just right. Of course, I couldn't help but explain that he'd be much, much wealthier today if he'd bought almost any property when he first considered investing 10 years ago, even if he'd made a terrible mistake in his property selection. At that time, in general, we were paying less than $300,000 for an average property in Sydney, $245,000 for property in Melbourne, $144,000 for a property in Brisbane 10 years ago, $149,000 for a property in Perth, $188,000 for a property in Darwin, $128,000 for an Adelaide property, and less than $113,000 for a property in Hobart. Fast forward 10 years and look what you'd be paying for that same property today. Okay, so what's the characteristic all successful investors share? It's that they make decisions and they take appropriate action. In his classic book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill outlined 17 principles he found responsible for success of the world's top business leaders of his day. Way back in the 1930s, Hill discovered that all of the most successful people had the habit of making swift and committed decisions. Now, this principle, which is just as relevant today as it was almost a century ago, holds the key to determining the level of success you will achieve. I found successful investors gather all the necessary information they want quickly, make an informed decision and then take appropriate action. They're able to see the big picture and not get caught up in the detail. And even when they don't have all the information they need, they believe it's better to make a decision with some information than not to make a decision at all. They then take action and they gather the balance of information as they move on. Of course, they don't always make the right choices. However, over time, the number of correct decisions they make far outweigh the incorrect ones, and it's that which propels them to investment success. It's no surprise that others who procrastinate, who avoid taking action, rarely achieve much success in their lives. Why is it that taking action is so daunting for some people? Well, one of the big things that holds so many potential investors back is fear, especially the fear of making an incorrect decision. And sometimes it's the fear of failure. The problem is that as human beings, we like to feel we're in control. We like to have choices. However, when you take action, you made a commitment to one action, thereby eliminating a whole lot of choices you could have made. So subconsciously we procrastinate, thinking it's left us with options. The trouble is, we've really made a decision not to make a decision. And that decision has its own consequences. Do you find it easy to make decisions? Currently, the world is riddled with uncertainty and unpredictability. This makes it difficult to be sure of what actions we should take, and I guess it tends to lead to procrastination. However, if your life isn't where you want it to be right now, it's likely you are not making the right decisions or taking the appropriate actions to move forward. Well, you may be asking, how do successful investors manage to take decisive action? The fact is that successful investors are faced with just as much uncertainty in their lives as the rest of us are. However, they manage to take action because they've got focus. They've got clarity about where they want to be. Successful investors follow a plan. They know exactly where they want to be and why they want to get there. They've got a property strategy, a finance strategy, a tax and asset protection strategy. Every time they make an investment decision, they've got to evaluate their actions and its potential consequences in light of their plan, in light of their goals. If the action will move them closer towards their goals, they go for it. This makes their investment decisions much more predictable, their decisions less emotional, and their results more consistent. It was no coincidence that when I became clear in my goals, I began associating myself with other successful investors who were already very clear in every aspect of their property investing. I don't know who said it, but to become successful, hang around successful people. The interesting thing is that when you start associating with successful people, you begin to change without knowing it, to act, to talk, think and dress like them. You begin to see things in a positive new way. The lessons from all of this is to make a commitment to yourself, to start taking decisive action and move yourself closer to the investment success you desire. Unfortunately, it's pretty hard. It's much harder these days in our schizophrenic economic climate. That's why it's important to understand that there are 4 types of knowledge you need to seize control of, to take advantage of, to get your financial future under control. To make the most of our current turbulent economic and property markets, strategic property investors are going to need, number 1, unbiased economic insights. Number 2, education based on proven investing principles and strategies. Number 3, they're going to need guidance from expert investors who've already been there, who've done that. And the 4th thing they're going to need is insider information, so that they're going to be able to spot trends that are hidden from the average investor. That's why it's critical to learn from experienced and successful property investors, from somebody who's already achieved what you want to achieve and has attained wealth in the long term. And that's precisely what you're going to get when you join me at our property and economic market updates. These are one-day trainings I'm going to be conducting around Australia next month. I won't be conducting seminars like this again until well into next year. So please click on the link below and get full details and reserve your place. When you join us at these economic updates, you're going to see not just myself and local area experts, but also Rolf Schaefer, who's a top finance strategist and a student of economics, and Ken Race. And we're going to give you straightforward, no-nonsense, practical steps and honest answers to improve your property performance this year and into the future. To reserve your place or find out a bit more, click on the link below, go to our website propertymarketupdate.com.au, and I look forward to seeing you at one of those sessions. In between our weekly newsletters that I'm sending you, if you want to subscribe to my blog, click on the link at Property Update for Michael's daily blog. It's a different subscription to my newsletter. Look forward to seeing you the updates, and I'll send you another update in 2 weeks' time.